Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Trace to Trade, the DiMuto podcast, where we explore the future of global agricultural industry through the lens of data and technology. So, today we are actually honored to speak with someone who has been leading one of Asia's largest and most innovative agri-food companies. So, joining us today is Tommy Wattimena, CEO of Great Giant Foods, the corporate arm for Gunung Sewu Group for food and agricultural products. So GDF is actually widely recognized as one of Asia's leading food companies. So they have operations that span fresh and processed fruits, juice, meat, and dairy. And as the food division of Gunung Sewu Group, GDF actually manages thousands of hectares through sustainable and integrated farming systems that give the company actually full oversight through the whole supply chain. So, our guest today, Tommy, has actually overseen many initiatives that are about modernizing farm operations, improving sustainability, and also bringing data into everyday decision making. So, for this episode, we will be diving into how technology, such as the DiMuto farm technology, is helping GGF manage farmers at scale, bring structure to field operations, and also bring a stronger foundation of quality from the source. So, Tommy, thank you so much for giving us the time and for joining our podcast. So, to start this off, maybe you can tell us about your journey in the agri-food sector. How did you come about this industry, and what is your role today in leading Great Giant Foods? And maybe for our listeners who are not familiar with GGF, maybe you can talk and introduce your company and what makes you guys unique.
Yeah, good morning, Athena, and again, good morning to everyone who's going to be the listener and then the participant of this podcast. I think there's a lot to be talked about. Let me start with the introduce the company first, then I and how I'm gonna fit into this whole pictures of the industry and the company and so on and so forth. Right. I think GTA was started like 50 years ago, and the original we were cassava factory business. Then we venture out into the fresh pineapple. Then obviously then move into the process of pineapple. In the process now, we probably one of the largest processed pineapple company in the world. We're exporting to more than I think 62 to 65 countries now globally. I don't remember how we keep adding up the countries again. And we are being blessed managing about 32,000 hectares yeah hectares of the plantation uh, for the probably for the size comparable that will be around half of the Singapore island, so it's a pretty sizable in the context of the Indonesian agriculture. um, then in the process we do have planting banana, guava, and so many typical tropical fruits. Now, our business model is a circular, we call it a circular agriculture model. So, what does it mean? It means every waste that coming up from the business, we process it and becomes another business. Therefore, we are in the cattle business. We are the second largest cattle fattening business in Indonesia. We do have the bromelain. If your audience not familiar with bromelain, it's the stem. It's a it's a byproduct from the pineapple stem that being processed into bromelain enzyme, which is really really potent to reduce anti-inflammatory and being used for the pharmaceutical, cosmetic all over the world as well. As already mentioned, cassava. We have a fresh species like a banana under brand Sunpride and guava, right? And obviously fresh pineapple exported to Japan, Singapore, Middle East, China, and so forth. And we do have obviously a consumer product business like Rejuve, uh, full price juices, chips, and we have some have to say a small but beautiful dairy business, uh, which is mainly marketing fresh dairy, and high quality yogurt. So those are the four pillars of our business: processed pineapple, fresh fruit, plant and protein based, and then finally we have a consumer product as a part of the entire circular of the business. How I can come across into this business is very simple. Originally, I was not from the agriculture. I was starting my career in Unilever, which is a consumer product, then move into telco company. Then I'm running group consumer product in one of the largest Indonesian conglomerate on the supply chain and consumer product as well. And then this group was offered me to turn around a just struggling poultry business. So I was running the poultry business before this business. So somehow I was lucky enough to manage to turn around the business. That's why when the my predecessor was retired, I was being appointed to run this what I call it the largest one of the largest agriculture group within the group of Gunung Sewu itself, and then probably in the country itself. But just a disclaimer: I don't have a background and not study on the agriculture industry. So yeah.
Okay, great. So, you mentioned about pineapple. So, it seems like you guys manage the largest pineapple plantations in the world and other
Yeah.
crops as well. So, definitely with big operations like these, it's very important for like field visibility and like consistency as well. So, from your point of view, with your experience, how do you think farming is changing today? And what pressures is your company or like other companies like GGF, like what kind of pressures are they facing as, food systems today are becoming more and more complex and complicated?
Well, I think first of all, there is a couple of pressure. The first one, the demand has been increasing, Athena. I think people getting more and more realize living healthy, you need to switch your consumption behavior coming from processed food more toward the fresh fruit or the fresh fruit itself, right? So there is a strong demand globally or within the country or the regional or within the country itself. And then the second pressure is the land availability. If you want to secure the size of land nowadays, I think will not be available even in the. I don't think there is that kind of a size of land available in Indonesia or anywhere within the region. So you have to maximize what you get from the land, right? The third one, I think the pressure of the other multi-stakeholder like the governments and the NGO that in terms of we are doing the business, we have to deliver a long-term sustainability. So there is a three level of a pressure, make sure that the land is yielding and productive, but we have to do it in the sense of sustaining the sustainability, still delivering all the profitability and so on and so forth. Now that changed the games on the agriculture. Before that, it's all about productivity and the cost. Now it's all about the quality, traceability, and sustainability. Whoever and still affordable in that sense, yeah. So it is like the multiplier of the challenge is getting higher and higher because the expectation is higher and higher. But thank goodness there is a technology to help us, and people are more and more educated, and the demand still is getting higher and higher. So there is a momentum of the green economy, healthy consumer trend, and technology. AI, all the AI, the algorithm, the drone, and everything that's actually help us in terms of answering those challenges.
Okay, so yeah, sounds like very complex challenges. So, how about on the other side? What do you see are like the biggest opportunities when you talk about modernizing operations and like your company making sure you're up to date? Maybe you can share some of the opportunities that you see are coming in the next 5 to 10 years.
Uh, I think the short term and the long term is probably the same. is how to make sure that the you reduce the excess of the agriculture. It's always easy to selling a fruit that has a good quality product. The demand is always there. But what you gonna do with the rest of the remaining crops of the
Mm.
remaining output that yet not yet up to the level of the pricing that you are expected, right? That's number one. So that's why a circular model it helps, right? You're managing the residual or the waste that's coming from whatever the business that's coming from the agriculture, right? You have to make sure that your business that you develop is not just one linear, but it is close the entire loop that managing the entire waste as well in order to be profitable. I think the second one, there is a lot of pressure on the climate as well because there's a lot of uncertainty. You try to bring certainty into the business, there's so many uncertainty, right? That's why this thing of the technology, predictability, AI, and so on and so forth, it actually helps. And then again, well, what I call it, in order to deliver your financial short term without borrowing from the future, that's why sustainability kicks in, right? It's also important as well. Now, even though you're doing all of those three, still not sufficient. So you need a collaboration with the farmer, with the community, with the government, and so on and so on. So it's a multiple stakeholder management rather than straightforward you managing your own plantation, your own factory, your own customer. No, it's beyond that because there is a lot of stake in the food agriculture industry in any country. Agriculture is always a strategic, political, highly political agenda, but also really important to the survival of the nation itself. Therefore, is so many stakeholders that you have to manage, and they all of them demand information. Basically, all of them demand transparency. All of them demand traceability. So those are the the dimension that we need to manage agriculture nowadays.
Okay, thank you so much for sharing. So, you mentioned a little bit about, farmers and field operations. So definitely when you're managing thousands of hectares and all these farmers and all these teams, so I'm sure like only like the manual updates or like paper-based reporting and verbal updates can only go so far. So usually as what you mentioned, you need visibility on what's happening on the ground, like maybe what are the tasks that are happening, how are like how are the plantations performing week to week. These are more these are like very much like important details that have like that are in need of transparency, especially when you're handling thousands of hectares on the ground. So maybe before digital tools, um or before maybe adopting, for example, like the DiMuto farm and other kind of technologies on the ground, what were some of the challenges that GGF has maybe faced in keeping everything operational, making sure everything is consistent, and making sure the quality is there?
Uh, there's a lot of discipline and hard works on the field, basically. Agriculture, have to say, it is not for the people that doesn't have a passion on the business because it takes a lot of hard works and a lot of times, hours, even probably days being spent on the actual plantation. So we do have basically a lot of people to doing a supervising, monitoring, and control, and writing all the report. But having said that, I have to say the accuracy is still not up to the standard. There's a lot of so many missing link in the information, not mentioning the people that probably work in the field. They're not the most educated people in the workforce, right? And there's so many different variables that you need to work. Example, soil, right? The weather, different season, and so on and so forth. That's make the accuracy is highly fluctuative. That's number one. But not only that, you have to be able to trace whatever coming from your plantation all the way until arriving in the store that the quality still remain intact. and being delivered to the quality that expected by our customer. And I think you understand, and I think your viewers understand as well that Indonesian setting of 17,000 island is probably one of the most challenging supply chain of all, probably if not in Asia, probably in the world as well. So the ability for us to develop a supply chain and then making decision as fast as possible, that will be really important. And that's why I'm saying that today, I think in general, Indonesia is still facing the challenge of the food waste. Indonesian as a country, we are probably, if I'm not the second or the third food waster in the world. Not because we are not eating it, not finish it on the table, but 70 to 80% was lost in the agriculture and the supply chain itself. So from farm to table is another challenge, and then how to deliver it in the good quality, right? That consistent, what we had agreed upon from the customer and from the plantation, and then the cost that we deliver it all the way to the table as well is also a challenge. Then finally, that when we expand the business, we need to work with a lot of a farmer because not possible to supply the entire country coming from one sources. It's just too expensive. But how you translate that the knowledge that in our big plantation, modern plantation like us into smaller farmer or stakeholders, they able to to get the knowledge and the learning that we have, and then we collaborate with them to continually build the market, whether it's locally or international.
Okay, thank you so much, Tommy. So maybe we can shift the conversation now to digital tools,
Yeah,
specifically the
yeah,
partnership between GGF and DiMuto. So you guys have been adopting DiMuto Farm
yeah,
for your farm operations, in tracking farm activities, recording like the inputs, and
yeah.
having like a clear record of what's happening. So maybe you can share why this was important for you guys and what were the problems that you wanted to solve initially that we were able to come in and help you with those?
Well, I think to start with that, I think our relationship with the DiMuto has been very positive. I think the reason why we have a great trust on DiMuto is your founder, Gary, understood what does it take to become a successful agriculture and how the technology can help them, because he understands that the challenges that I mentioned in the agriculture. Not so many startups or the technology, typically they came to us for the sake of the technology, but they don't understand what is actually the key driver and the most important and the challenges that we're facing on the agriculture. I think Demuta has been demonstrated with the knowledge, the first of all, the knowledge before a lot of experience and evidence. Now I think there is a lot of learning that has been accumulated by the Demuto, right? And it is important for us because that knowledge it gives us ability to speed up and accelerate the learning that coming from our team as well. It is not possible for us to, maybe technological wise, probably it is possible to build it our own, but the knowledge how to refine it and then to make it better, that has to become from different stakeholders that they're managing, so we can take the advantage of that. And then obviously the experience of Dimuto working with us as well will be able to sharpen Dimuto platform for their beneficial for their customer as well. So I think in the agriculture, first of all, we believe that the sharing knowledge, open innovation is the key, because together we can basically we can produce a lot more faster, better, and being appreciated by the market. I think that's the key. It doesn't really make sense that all the knowledge has to be built within the internal company. That's the reason that we are, I think, find a Dimuto. It is a right partner for us.
Okay, so um, I know that Dimito Farm is basically sharing on knowing what the story of the field or what's happening in the field,
Yeah,
and you're
yeah,
able to see the result and the process. So from this visibility, seeing everything from the ground, how would you say has this helped improve your operations and maybe like your decision making?
Well, I think, as I mentioned before, in the I came from fast moving consumer product at the beginning, but when you move into the fresh fruit business, it become very very fast moving consumer product. You have to
Mhm.
make decision on the spot. In fact, there is a lot of a delegation that has to be done through your entire manager or your entire team. If you have to wait that the decision has to be managed by somebody in the head office and so on and so forth, it will not work in the fresh fruit. To be able to empower those decisions and make sure reconcile whatever the differences with the customer, you need a data visibility. Basically, people have to look at the same data and agree this is the correct data. And I'm always a believer of that people that works in a company like us, in our customer, they are smart people as well. The moment they see a similar data, the conclusion that will be reached probably same. That will be allows two things: the speed of the decision, the delegation as well, and then pricing it properly in that sense. So the reduction of the dispute because of this data transparency, traceability, and so on and so forth, which allows us as a producer and the farmer as well, and the customers as well, to actually getting the entire value from the agriculture, basically.
Okay. So, are we talking about how Dimito Farm has these like has can help improve internal operations, like maybe like, pack like inconsistent sizing and quality issues, but beyond internal operations, how has this helped or how do you see this technology or digital tools helping you position yourself with different buyers who want maybe like very like top level reporting such as sustainability reporting or like audited practices? How do you see this technology that is mostly like internal operations helping in that regard?
Uh, well, I think let me take with the question of the sustainability first, right? The sustainability definitely create a differentiation. I think at the end of your generation probably even more appreciate from buying a company that really care of the planet, animals, and soil, and so on and so forth, right? So that create a differentiation. But so many company has been, have to say, create a perception, what we call it, greenwashing, as if they are subscribed into the environmental and so on and so forth.
Mhm.
But whether that accountability can be proved or can be justified, that's a two different thing. And the younger generation demand that this explanation and demand this accountability. And the data transparency which allows us to exactly the same, exactly provide consumer confidence and consumer security. This is what it is, right? This is the way we are doing the business. You can look at it all the way. The second one, I think, I think again, your generation is becoming more and more literate in terms of the ingredient, where is it coming from, sourcing, the type of the soil, and so on and so forth. Well, that allows us to create a different pricing, values, and different business model in that sense, right? So that also has implicated on the accountability of the entire value chains to be transparent as a sustainability itself. Then I think finally all the report, excuse me, all the reporting that required by the governments, by the financial investor as well. I think I'm sure you heard about the green capital. Those are also that's the benefit can be attributed to the company that embarking on the agriculture and the green economy and and so on and so forth. And finally, I think the engagement score of the engagement of the employee as well is can be driven by and the employer the company branding can be driven by the fact that we are doing good for the society, not just looking for the money as well. That allows us to entice really good professional, high talent, good quality people to really joining our cause. So those are creating a really good circle of the business. But as I believe that it's starting with our ability to to make sure that what we are doing it is a transparent, traceable, and then we can present it the data as it is without any tampering and creating authentic consumer and branding experience for our employee.
Okay, thank you so much, Tommy. That was very insightful. So, as you guys continue to expand and to modernize, what role do partnerships like DiMuto or maybe other digital tools or digital companies that are looking to collaborate with you, what role can you see them playing in building like the next generation of farming, and what would that look like in the future?
Wow. There's a lot of question on that. I think the immediate question is how AI can play a role in agriculture, right? AI can play role into two things. Basically, one is the predictability, right? Given the data becoming transparent, available, and so on and so forth, AI can give us much more predictability of what is going to be happening. Therefore, there's a lot of discussion what we call it of precision agriculture. What does it mean? Because as different soil have a different profile, different animal, different sorry, plantation and animal has a different profile. So you need to specifically um, creating certain treatment or certain uh, process to the, it's just like a doctor then yeah doctor there is a common study a specific disease but to treat a specific person you need to understand that particular person as well and plantation is a living thing animal and plantation is a living thing so you have a general knowledge but you need to have a special prescription a specific uh, location or specific animal that's why we call it precision agriculture so one is to create predictability. Second, I think is to create what is the optimum yield that having those are dimension the sustainability, cost, yield, and so on and so forth. So run a different scenario. What will be the optimum, and then the finally to be able to control and to monitor along the supply chain and react immediately and giving a recommendation immediately. So there is a lot of discussion. I think AI, we still need to know how evolved AI will that be. The physical AI replacing worker in the plantation. I don't know, but there's a lot of exciting discussion on that regard. Uh, Going forward as well, I think more near terms is the ability to organize and then to managing many small stakeholders. Before that, it is not possible. The way the agriculture has always been done on a scale basis. But the country, for example, the country like Singapore, Taiwan, Hong Kong, they still need foods, right? How are you managing, agriculture in the smaller basis, in the modular basis? And I think that's very important. Without the technology, you will not able to get the sustainable yield and profitability. This technology will allows you to have a control, different prescription, but yet it's a modular agriculture. So those are, so how you democratizing? You are democratizing big, large scale company into small stakeholder. I think those are the another excitement on how the technology will pushes us forward. So rather than you have to own certain size of land, someday I truly believe everybody can be a farmer if they want to, and yeah, they can start right away. Right. So that's what I believe. I think the final discussion, which is we still don't know if you're asking 5 years to 10 years down the road because the technology evolving so fast. We have a bunch of the student MBA from the US visited us. I think couple months back. There's a lot of a discussion how the quantum now changing the agriculture environments. That will be interesting question because quantum now is evolving very fast and how this combination between so many data, AI, and quantum, and the physical AI as well, will deliver the next level of the agriculture industry. What we do know as well is the again the link between nutrition of the people, DNA from the people can be attributed to the food that they are consuming. So yeah, so this is what I think agriculture, technology, AI, quantum will continue to push the boundary of the technology, our understanding of the food, climate, environments, and people. Eventually, well, the goal is basically living healthy, live longer. Basically, can we help that?
Yeah. Okay. So we're moving on to our final question. So thank you so much for the thoughtful discussion. I think before we wrap up, um, especially for a big company like GGF, I know digital adoption is not very easy, especially for
Yeah.
this industry. It's still very manual, and that's why we have so much food waste. It's an industry that's not very digitized, and people might not be open to doing it. So maybe for this, do you have any final advice for companies, for growers or agribusinesses who are thinking about it and unsure where to start, or a bit maybe scared to try it, or just because, things that have been working, that have always been working well for the past thousands of years are still working. So why should they need to, adopt it? Yeah. Maybe you
Well, it's
can
a lot of
offer
makes
some
sense.
advice. Yeah.
A lot of makes sense. I think when we starting implement the technology, I think there is a lot of, as always, there is a lot of resistance about change. Um, but it is nowadays is pretty clear for everybody. Is not possible to develop 50 years of knowledge anymore. The younger generation doesn't have that kind of a level of a time, and then we need to replace the teams, the senior generation into younger and younger, and they don't have time to learn that level of detail and that level of a duration. And there's a new thing that's coming thing as well. So the technology is actually inevitable. There's always a saying that the people will not be replaced by AI, but the people will be replaced by the people with AI. So I think the question is how fast the company can adapt, and I understand that there is a lot of risk that embedded into every changes of every transformation. We always subscribe of the motto of a think big, move fast and start small. I think the prototyping that will help. So do have a prototype within whatever the company can afford, but you need to start experimenting it. Otherwise, you are behind because there's always a new person in the market that coming with all of the new thinking technology that they're thinking 24 hour how to disrupt all guy like us, big company like us. And I think fair to say that nowadays size is not really matters. Speed is the game. The speed of and adaptability to to respond into these changes is the one that actually deliver the winning model in the market. So, I think there's no way out for that.
Okay, thank you so much for those words. So, thank you again, Tommy,
Thank
for
you.
being part of our podcast and for sharing your perspective. So, for the people listening and watching, this conversation is really talking about why, digital farm management is not just about traceability. It's like what Tommy said, it's about sustainability, it's about empowering farmers. It's about like helping to reduce food waste as well, and improving the quality of life of consumers, making sure we have quality food, to, as what Tommy said, to live longer and to live healthier. Yeah, and overall, we people adapt, like companies like GGF, like adapt these technologies in order to build more resilient food systems. So thank you so much again for this wonderful discussion. So everyone, if you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe to Trade to Trade on Spotify and on YouTube for more insights from leaders like Tommy. So again, this is Tommy Wattimena, the CEO of GEF. Thank you so much for listening, and until next time, bye bye.
Thank you. Until next time. Thank you, Athena. All the best.